Seated on a Lufthansa airliner scheduled to depart from Frankfurt, Germany to Washington, D.C. on September 29, 2017, I asked a man sitting next to me, "Are you traveling through Frankfurt from somewhere else?" The passenger said he is returning from Israel. "Where are you coming from?" he added. I said, "From Tehran." His demeanor changed from passive to interested. Both of us chuckled politely. Our mutual discomfort at this point stemmed from the fact that the U.S. and Israel are declared enemies of the official Islamic Republic of Iran. American political and military administrators have classified Iran as a member of an axis of evil and chief proponent of the destruction of the Jewish state of Israel. Iran does not have diplomatic relations with the U.S. or Israel. Our brief exchange on the jetliner occurred as I was returning from a 15-day tour of Persia, the contemporary Iran, organized by a tour operator called Sobek Mountain Travel, and accompanied by one of Sobek's co-founders and adventure travel guide and author Richard Bangs. During my sojourn, I found the general populace of Iran to be anything but antagonistic to Americans, or to Jews, Christians, or any visitor or community for that matter. Of roughly 70-plus countries I have visited, no other nation surprised me as much as this one, its inhabitants generally expressing and demonstrating extraordinary admiration for the United States, and Americans especially. One takeaway from my experience there is that Iran today, despite internal difficulties, is an unlikely provocateur of global mayhem. The international political stratosphere that has for a long time promoted distrust and discomfort, it appears, is disconnected from the general disposition of the citizens of these quarreling nations on the ground. For sure, there are clusters of anti-American Zionist slogans scattered about the country, but these were scarce and mostly a formalism driven by media and a few political special interest groups. I never was accosted in a threatening or less than friendly manner by any inhabitant of Iran during my stay, except modestly by immigration officials at the airport. On the other hand, there were innumerable incidents of unexpected generosity and proffers of goodwill and well wishes from every sector of the society, from teens to families and older adults, and even recruits of the military. A juxtaposition of militarism against the backdrop of Iran's powerful religious establishment is ironic, but not particularly intimidating. The people, the architecture, the amazing bazaars, the history and the landscape hold clues to a legacy that has been cultivated by one of the world's greatest empires, the Persian Empire. That empire eventually fell down, as all empires do. But Iran is on the cusp of moving into the sphere of first world nations again. It is a bridge land between the West and the East. The goods of both spheres flow back and forth across this very dry desert theocracy. Sanctions, or no sanctions, the people of Iran are looking to make progress, constructing a modern civilization of their own, with contributions from every corner of the planet. Tehran, the largest city and capital of the Republic, fans out below the Arborz Mountains at the northern edge of the vast and mostly arid Iranian plateau. The first of the Qajar kings, a Turk, Aga Muhammad Khan, named Tehran the country's capital in 1778. Today, the sprawling city of roughly 14 million people often is smog-filled and traffic-clogged. The old and modern structures clash or blend, depending on one's perspective, in a cosmopolitan puzzle at nearly 1 mile above sea level. Any trainee tourist preparing to negotiate Tehran's streets on foot is coached on how not to get injured by cars, trucks, or motorbikes while crossing the street. It's best done in groups, with one of the parties sacrificing self as a decoy to confront these vehicles. The wealthier north end of the city squeezes up the gradually rising slopes of the Torshal ski mecca. In all seasons, the gondolas serve nature lovers, mavericks, and youthful men and women adventurers who put themselves above it all. For the fashionably decked-out youth especially, the dry wind at heights over 12,000 feet tests the limits of fluttering hijabs and wafts of cigarette and other smoke. These are the heights where the symbols of real and imagined cultural oppressions are secretly scorned. One young woman, in her 20s I think, confessed to me while we cycled around the crowd control rail at the lift that she was on the mountain without her parents' knowledge. They were conservative, she suggested with a disappointed look. She also asked what it is like to get a job in the U.S. Naturally, we both conceded the political obstacles erected by the U.S. and Iran to her desire to emigrate, or even just to visit. Her encounter with me, an American, clearly was exciting to her. Her smiling anticipation of the prospect of an imagined liberation from the hijab lit a spark within me. By contrast to this young hiker's unloading, in the next hour I shared a downward glide on the lift with 3 older men who decided to sing loudly the traditional Shia chants of devotion to the imams for my special benefit. There was no getting away from the enduring myths of this nation, or of mine. To visit an Imamzada tomb, usually in the shadow of an imposing mosque, women must be covered with special cloth and dress, and even female tourists are shunted to the private rooms in order to be properly adorned. However, once in the square or hovering over sacred ground, all visitors partake in a common chorus of greeters and meters, festive picture-taking and jovial relaxation before making the trek into the bowels of the bazaar at, for instance, Tajrish Square in central Tehran.